Hello students, I am Akshay Deshpande and welcome to biology class. I will be your biology tutor and today we will be looking into the second class of the chapter, that is the cell, the unit of life. So we have briefly discussed some of the concepts of this particular chapter in our first video, and in this particular class we will be emphasizing and mainly concentrating on the concepts of mainly the prokaryotic cells. Okay, so we will mainly try to understand about the prokaryotes and their cell structure and their components and their functions, more precisely speaking. Okay, and again there are some part of this mainly you may expect some parts where you can expect from this prokaryote maybe mainly the cell envelope and its modifications. So this is the part which you people have to emphasize the most compared to any other part of this section that we will be discussing. So without any further delay, we shall start our discussion on the prokaryotic cells. So now prokaryotic. Okay, so now the term actually prokaryotic means the first appeared. Okay, we can say it is mainly the first appeared. Okay, now pro actually means primitive. Okay, which mainly means the primitive. Now primitive, as we all know, it means that first. Okay, we can even say it is what? First, primitive. Okay, so generally the prokaryotic cells are mainly not advanced. Okay, they are not advanced. Okay, and in other words, they are mainly simple cells. They're mainly what? Simple cells. Okay, they are first appeared cells on this particular planet, hence we use the term primitive or first appeared. Okay, and generally they are mainly not advanced, or we can say they are just simple cells. Okay, so now if we look into the examples of the prokaryotic cells, the first example we are having here, the PPLO. Now what does the PPLO mainly stand for? Pleuro pneumonia like organisms. Okay, like organisms. Now these are mainly anaerobic in nature. Okay, so which means that they don't require any kind of oxygen. Okay, and similarly to PPLO we are having one more called as the mycoplasma. Okay, one more example we are having is the mycoplasma. Even the mycoplasma and the PPLO, they mainly cause some diseases in the case of animals. Okay, respiratory disorders, to be frankly speaking. Now, another example of the prokaryotic cell mainly includes is the blue-green algae. Okay, also called as the cyanobacteria. Okay, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. See, don't get confused with the name called as the blue-green algae. Okay, though we are using the term algae, it doesn't mean that it is an algae. Okay, so algae, we are having many well-known examples. Okay, for example, we are having a green algae. Okay, we are also having brown algae, red algae, right? They are basically plants. They are advanced eukaryotes. Okay, but however we use the term blue-green algae, it means that these are basically bacteria. They are mainly bacteria. Okay, so these bacteria are mainly the photosynthetic bacteria. Okay, yes, they can carry out photosynthesis, and general examples mainly include the bacteria, as we all know. Okay, bacteria like E. coli, staphylococcus, streptococcus, many examples we are having for the bacteria, right? So now if you look into some of the interesting properties of the prokaryotic cell, is that they exhibit rapid multiplication. Now what do we mean by rapid multiplication? Multiplication in the cells, cell division. Okay, so compared to eukaryotes, the prokaryotes can divide rapidly. Okay, the prokaryotes they can divide rapidly. Okay, when we compare the division or cell division capacity of the prokaryotic cell with the eukaryotic cell. Okay, so now you also see that they come in great variation of a size and shape. Okay, especially when it comes to the shapes, you find various differences. You find various types of size and shape. So now here we have mentioned some of the basic shapes for the prokaryotic cell. Okay, for example, we are having the first one, that is the rod like shape. Here rod like shape mainly includes the bacillus. Okay, the term bacillus mainly includes or we can say that it mainly means it is a rod shaped bacteria. Now if it is a spherical, generally we use the term coccus. We use the term what? Coccus. And if it is a comma shaped, then we use the term vibrio. Okay, we use the term vibrio. On the other hand, if it is a spiral, then we use the term spirulum. Okay, spirulum. We use the term spirulum, right? So here rod like shaped bacillus, spherical shaped coccus, and comma shaped vibrio, and finally spiral shaped spirulum, right? So various modifications or types and sizes and shapes of the bacteria or the prokaryotic cells you mainly observe. Okay, so we have made the point quite clear over here. So let us move on to the next concepts over here. Now we can just erase this. Yeah, now most of them are actually having a cell wall. Okay, so now the cell wall plays a very important role in the case of prokaryotes. Okay, the cell wall plays a very important role, that is mainly providing the shape and protection. Okay, protection. Okay, the shape and protection is mainly maintained because of the cell wall, Now, but however, there are some exceptions. The exceptions mainly includes the mycoplasma. In the case of mycoplasma, they do not have any kind of cell wall. Okay, they don't have any cell wall. So as they don't have any kind of cell wall, generally we see that these organisms are quite susceptible, okay, to various what we can say threats. For example, bursting, okay, or a collapsing of the cell structure. These are some of the conditions this bacteria, that is the mycoplasma, may be susceptible to, right? But we have to remember that most of them actually have the cell wall. Okay, cell wall, most of them have the cell wall. Now you also see that the cytoplasm is also present, and it is the fluid filled cytoplasm. Fluid filled in the sense we are mainly speaking of water. We are mainly speaking of what? The main content of the cytoplasm is the water, and we also have to remember, as we have discussed in our last class, that the cytoplasm plays an important role for the metabolic activity. Okay, all these cellular reactions, all the metabolic reactions that are required for the prokaryotic cell are ultimately occurring in the cytoplasm. So why they are called as a prokaryotic cell? We have discussed, we just a moment ago we said that because they are primitive in their appearance, okay, or they are the first appeared, that is why we call them as a prokaryotic. But however, there is also another meaning to this. We also say that there is no presence of a nuclear membrane, absence of a nuclear membrane. Hence, we also say that it is the prokaryotic cells. See, nuclear membrane, why do we require nuclear membrane? Okay, see, one of the important functions of the nuclear membrane is mainly separating the DNA from the cytoplasm. Okay, yes, remember this. So nuclear membrane separates, or in other terms we can say isolates. Okay, it mainly isolates the DNA, and we know what is DNA. DNA is the genetic material, right? So it mainly isolates the genetic material from the cytoplasm, okay, because cytoplasm is mainly required for various other purpose, okay, isolating, separating, or compartmentalization of the DNA from the cytoplasm. That is the main function of the nuclear membrane. Okay, so as you do not find a nuclear membrane, we can say that no nuclear membrane in the case of prokaryotic cells, right? So as you do not find any kind of nuclear membrane in the case of prokaryotic cell, the DNA is directly present in the cytoplasm. Okay, the DNA is present directly, freely floating in the cytoplasm, and we refer this as the naked DNA, or sometimes you can also see one more term called as the incipient nucleus. Okay, incipient nucleus, or also it is called as a nucleoid. Okay, here multiple terms you may encounter if you are referring any other book apart from the NCERT. Then generally you may see that there are two more words called as the incipient nucleus, or one more we're having is the nucleoid. Okay, so all the terms basically mean the same. That is, DNA is naked DNA in the sense there is no compartmentalization, there is no nuclear membrane. Okay, hence it is called as naked DNA or incipient nucleus or a nucleoid, right? Hence we can conclude that the DNA is present, it is mainly present in the cytoplasm, right? It is directly present in the cytoplasm. Hence this is the conclusion we can remember about the prokaryotic cell. But in the case of eukaryotic cell, you find the presence of the nuclear envelope or the nuclear membrane. Yeah, now apart from the main genome, okay, bacterial genome, what we call, okay, bacterial genome, or we can even say the term DNA. Okay, apart from the main bacterial DNA, you also find one more important structure. Generally we refer them as the plasmids. Okay, you people might have studied about the plasmids in your biotechnology chapter of your second year, right? So plasmids are mainly used as vectors. Okay, anyway, you people will be studying about that in the chapters of the biotechnology itself. But plasmids, they are generally called as the extra chromosomal inherited structures. Inheritance. Okay, extra chromosomal structures or extra chromosomal inherited structures. Okay, yes. So if you look into the structure of the plasmids, they are mainly circular. Okay, in other terms, they are mainly circular, and they are double-stranded. Yes, remember this. They are double-stranded in nature. They are circular and they are double-stranded in nature, and they replicate independently of the main genome. Remember this. Yes, a very, very important point you have to remember. Okay, the replication of the plasmid is nowhere concerned with the replication of the bacterial genome. Okay, it means that the plasmid replicates independently of the main genome. Okay, the bacterial genome replicates upon itself, and the plasmids replicate independently of itself. Yes, that is the important point to remember over here. Okay, so now we say that they are extra chromosomally inherited structures. Okay, means apart from DNA, main bacterial DNA, you also find some other DNA molecules, and these DNA molecules we call them as what? Plasmids. So what is the function of plasmid, right? We have to even look into the function of plasmid. So if you look into the function of plasmid, they are mainly involved in conferring antibiotic resistance. They are mainly involved in what? The conferring antibiotic resistance. Okay, so now antibiotic resistance, in the sense they mainly protect against the antibiotics. Okay, they provide protection against the antibiotics. That is the main function of the plasmids. So how do these plasmids can give protection against the antibiotics? Because the plasmids will contain certain gene segments. Okay, for example, from here to here, Assume that from this part to this part, it is having a gene segment which is specifically giving protection against some antibiotics. Don't think that one gene is sufficient to give resistance against all the antibiotics. That is never the case, and that is never the condition. Okay, one specific gene can give protection against only one specific antibiotics only. Okay, so if there are bacteria, if there are multiple genes, right, if there are multiple genes which can give the protection against different types of antibiotics, then we can say that that particular bacteria is antibiotic resistant against multiple antibiotics. Right? Yes. So, in a nutshell, we can say that plasmids mainly function in giving antibiotic resistance. But however, we are exploiting the property of plasmid. What is the property of plasmid? That we are using for our purpose, that it replicates independently of the main genome. Right? So, this is an important property that we are using it. So, now, we are using this particular property from the plasmid as making it as the vector. Okay, making it as what? Vector. So if you look into your textbook, they have mentioned that the plasmids are mainly used as vector to express the foreign DNA, FOREIGN, foreign DNA. Exactly. So this is the function that we are using. Okay, remember. Okay, so the natural function of plasmid is mainly to give the antibiotic resistance, but as the plasmids are known to replicate independently of the main genome, we are using this property for making plasmid as our vector. Vector in the sense it mainly carries our gene of interest or alien DNA or foreign DNA, and after inserting this vector that contains the foreign DNA in the plasmid, and it is used to express the foreign DNA in that particular host or the bacteria. Understood? So this is mainly about the plasmid. Okay, you can expect 1 or 2 questions from the plasmid section only, because it is quite important, hence I have emphasized more over here. Now, so the presence of plasmids, as we have mentioned or discussed, that it mainly is involved in the providing the antibiotic resistance, and also we have shortly discussed what are the properties of the plasmids. Now, apart from the plasmids or the absence of a nuclear membrane and cytoplasm, you also find a few more structures, okay, which are exclusively found in the case of prokaryotic cell, that is the inclusions. Okay, now inclusions are basically the reserve food particles. We will be discussing some examples also. And also here we are having one more structure called as the mesosomes. Okay, so now although they have not mentioned about the mesosomes diagrammatically in your textbook, we can just show a diagrammatic representation over here. Okay, this is what a general bacillus what I'm drawing. Okay, and this is a locomotor structure, that is the flagella, what you have seen, and this is how the single circular chromosome, bacterial chromosome or DNA is present, and here you find the plasmid, 1 or 2 plasmid, just for representation purpose. Okay, and this is the cell wall, what we are knowing, what we are observing, and here let us assume that this line is actually our plasma membrane, what I am drawing currently. So mesosomes are basically the extensions. Did you see over here this structure what I have drawn over here? This is actually called as the mesosomes. Now, interestingly, although we are studying about the mesosomes as a structure in the case of prokaryotic cell, but in the advanced microbiology textbooks, if you look into that, there is no firm conclusion that mesosomes are actually the structures of the prokaryotic. Many textbooks say that, or many researchers also say that these mesosomes are actually the artifacts. Okay, now what do you mean by artifacts? Artifacts are something that are formed artificially during the cell preparation. Okay, so whenever you are studying about the prokaryotic cell or any structure in a multicellular or unicellular, you are going to expose that particular tissue or cell to various reagents or something. So sometimes there may be a side reaction with the reagent and the cell structure that may produce an artificial structure which may not be its own real structure. Okay, so this is what we mean by the term artifacts. So many people argue that mesosomes are actually not naturally occurring structures, they are actually artifacts. But however, irrespective of the whatever we study, let us go according to NCERT and let us consider mesosomes as our naturally occurring structures in the case of prokaryotic cells. Right? Yeah. So we are having also mesosomes, which we'll be shortly discussing. And finally, we are having one more structure, that is the ribosome. Okay. Now ribosome, as we have discussed previously, that these are mainly involved in the synthesis of proteins. Synthesis of proteins, right? This is the main function of the ribosomes in the case of prokaryotes. The same holds true even in the case of eukaryotes, right? So I hope that I have made a few points clear over here. So let us move on to the next concept, that is a cell envelope and its modifications. Okay, so let me erase this so that I can use it again further for while explanation. Yeah, so cell envelope and its modifications. So in the case of bacteria, let us draw a same schematic representation over here of the bacteria. Okay, and here we are having one more layer. Yeah, so now just for our representation, easiest representation. Yeah, so now let us consider that the cell envelope, in reality we say that it is mainly made up of a 3-layered structure. Okay, it is chemically complex envelope. Okay, it's a very complex envelope because it is made up of different types of biomolecules. Okay, the first outermost layer we are having is the glycocalyx. Okay, the outermost layer we are having is the glycocalyx. Okay, so now the term glycocalyx means that it is actually made up of carbohydrates. Okay, it's mainly made up of the carbohydrates. So what kind of carbohydrates? Mainly we say that it is made up of the complex. It is mainly made up of a complex carbohydrates. Okay, carbs mean the same term, that is carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates mainly, what do we mean? Polysaccharides. Okay, they mean by the term polysaccharides. So polysaccharides are mainly complex carbohydrates compared to simple sugars such as the glucose or something, ribose or something like that. Okay, example for polysaccharides, that is mainly starch and something like that. Okay, yeah. Anyway, don't consider that as an example over here, that is the starch over here. Okay, so we say that glycocalyx is mainly made up of carbohydrates. So what kind of carbohydrates? Mainly the polysaccharides in a nutshell. Okay, now next to this layer we are having is the cell wall. Yes, a very important point. Okay, so the next layer after we get from the beneath the glycocalyx we are having is the cell wall, right? So now the cell wall is a rigid, it is a rigid structure. Remember, it is a very rigid structure. It is mainly made up of a chemical called as the peptidoglycan. Okay, remember, it is mainly made up of a complex structure called as the peptidoglycan, which is actually a cross link of both carbohydrates and also the proteins. Okay, it is composed of both carbs and also the proteins. Now carbohydrates, in the sense we are mainly speaking of the complex sugar itself. Okay, yes, and cell wall is the reason why the bacteria is having the shape. Okay, the shape whatever you see, that is circular or comma shaped or your bacillus rod shaped. Okay, this is mainly because the shape is mainly given by the cell wall itself. Remember that particular concept, and it mainly prevents the cell from bursting, or we can even use the term collapsing. okay, collapsing, okay. In other terms we can say shrinking also, okay, shrinking, okay, prevents the bursting or collapsing, or we can even say shrinking, okay. The cell wall is such an important structure. Now beneath the cell wall here, what you're looking over here, we are having is the plasma membrane, okay. Now plasma membrane is selectively permeable, as we all know, okay. It is a very common and general statement that we use it very oftenly, okay, that the plasma membrane is selectively permeable, right? Selectively permeable. What do we mean by selectively permeable? It means that it allows only the wanted or necessary or required molecules inside the cell, okay. So not all particles, not all substances, not all molecules can cross or pass through the plasma membrane, okay. So hence this is what we mean by the term selectively permeable. Yes, and interestingly, plasma membrane is also the structure which is similar to eukaryotic plasma membrane. Yes. So structurally also, chemically, composition wise, there may be some slight differences. But in your textbook, they have given that structurally and also chemically composition point of view, if you consider it, the plasma membrane of the prokaryotes is very much similar to that of the eukaryotes, eukaryotic plasma membrane, right? Yes. So although there are 3 layers in the cell envelope, okay, although there are 3 different layers in the cell envelope, and each of these layers can function independently, but generally these 3 layers, that is the glycocalyx, plasma membrane and cell wall, have a protective function, have mainly protective function. So we can say that the cell envelope's main function is protection, okay. Yeah. So now let us discuss about the glycocalyx slightly more. Okay, so here I have missed 2 points. So now the glycocalyx may be in the form of a loose sheath, okay, loose sheath, or it may be in the form of what we can say quite thick and tough, right? So if it is present in the form of a loose sheath, we use the term slime layer, okay, we use the term slime layer. But however, if it is thick and tough in nature, we use the term capsule, right? We use the term capsule, okay. So that this what we are discussing is only in the context of the glycocalyx only, okay, mainly with the concept or the idea of the glycocalyx. So the glycocalyx, if it is present in the form of a loose sheath, we say it as the slime layer, but however, if it is thick and tough, we use the term capsule, right? So this is mainly about the glycocalyx, cell wall and the plasma membrane. Now let us look into again the classification of the prokaryotic cell, or in other terms, simple terms, we can say bacteria, okay. Now we classify the bacteria based on a staining protocol or a staining method which was mainly developed by Christian Gram, okay, Christian Gram, okay. It is one of the most classical staining method which is even today, till today it is used, okay. Now Christian Gram was a scientist, mainly a bacteriologist, and he developed a staining called as the Gram staining, okay. Yes, Gram staining, okay. He developed the protocol called as the Gram staining, and in the Gram staining you basically get 2 types of bacteria, okay. If there is absorption or if there is taking up of the Gram stain, then we use the term Gram positive. If there is no taking up, that is, if the bacteria does not take the Gram stain, then we use the term, or in other words, simply Gram negative bacteria, Gram positive bacteria and Gram negative bacteria, right? So now, under the microscopic observation, how do these Gram positive and Gram negative bacteria appear like, or in other terms, what is the color what we are speaking of here, okay. So what color do the gram-positive bacteria exhibit, and what color do these gram-negative bacteria exhibit, right? So now here these gram-positive bacteria generally exhibit purple, or in some textbooks they even give blue also. Okay, so generally we see purple in color, and here we see it is mainly pink in color. Okay, so in your examination you may expect 1 or 2 questions where they may mention the color of the staining. So based on the color of staining you can even conclude, or they may ask you to conclude what kind of bacteria from the given options. Okay, so if they are mentioned pink in color, they are gram-negative bacteria, and if they are purple in color, then we say it is a gram-positive bacteria, right? So you can study about the gram staining methodologies more detail. Okay, I can just mention the stains over here. We are having crystal violet. Okay, crystal violet. Okay, we are having crystal violet. We are having a grams iodine. We are having grams iodine, and we are having alcohol. Okay, we use alcohol, and also we use a counter stain called as the saffronin. Okay, you people might have used this saffronin in your practical examinations if you try to recall, right? So crystal violet is mainly blue in color, and reddish and color it is the saffronin, and grams iodine is a different chemical which is used as a mordant. The function of grams iodine is what? Mordant. Okay, and finally we are having alcohol. We use alcohol for the treatment for the bacterial cell wall, right? Yes. So this is mainly about the gram staining. So based upon the gram staining, we see that there are gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. Okay, I will not discuss about the mechanism behind the gram staining. Just remember these stains. They may ask what is the counter stain used in the gram staining. It is saffronin. Okay, yeah. Anyway, let us the same point we have discussed over here, right? We can just revise it again. Glycocalyx differs in the thickness and the composition. If it is loosely formed, then it is called as a slime layer, and if it is a thick and tough, then we call it as a capsule, right? We have discussed it over here. And the cell wall is important because it mainly provides the shape and structural support, and similarly plasma membrane is selectively permeable and very much similar to the eukaryotes, right? So just a moment ago we have discussed all of these concepts. You can just try to make these points and recall them as much as possible. So now let us look into the mesosomes and inclusion bodies. Okay, now what are mesosomes? Now mesosomes are extensions of the plasma membrane. Okay, so if you remember, I had just drawn the cell, right? And this is the plasma membrane. Yeah, this a bag or sac or pouch like structure from the plasma membrane emerging into the cytoplasm. Okay, this is the cytoplasm. Okay, this part is the cytoplasm, and this is the outside of the cell, right? Outside of the cell. So we call it as this structure is called as the mesosome. It is called as the mesosome. So generally you see that there are 3 types of mesosome structures. The first is the vesicles, tubules, lamellae. Okay, 3 different types of mesosome structures you mainly find. The first one we are having is so let us look into the functions. Let us look into the functions over here. The main function we are having is the cell wall formation. Okay, these vesicles, tubules or lamellae, they are mainly involved in the formation of the cell wall. Okay, and they are also involved in the DNA replication and its distribution to the daughter cells, right? Yes, after the replication of the DNA, these DNA molecules should be distributed equally to the daughter cells, and that business is taken care by the tubules, lamellae and the vesicles over here. Okay, and next, not only DNA replication, they are also involved in the respiration. Okay, so have you ever wondered that the prokaryotes do not have mitochondria, or they do not have even the chloroplast, right? Then how do these prokaryotic bacteria or prokaryotes can carry out the function of respiration? Okay, so this is a very interesting question, because the enzymes that are required for the respiration are generally present in the cytoplasm. Remember, okay, cytoplasm contains the respiratory enzymes, right? All the glycolytic enzymes, all the Krebs cycle enzymes, all of them are mainly present in the directly cytoplasm. Okay, and if it is not present in the cytoplasm, they may be even present in what? The mesosomes, right? They're also involved in the secretion. They're also involved in what? We can say secretion. Now similarly, they also involved in the increase in the surface area of the plasma membrane. They also increase the surface area of plasma membrane, and also enzyme content, right? They also increase the content of the enzymes in the mesosomes. Now, you do find some special structures called as the chromatophores. Okay, the name itself indicates chroma means color. Okay, phores in the sense they are structures which mainly contain pigments. They mainly contain the pigments. Okay, yeah. So these pigments are mainly involved in the photosynthesis. Okay, these pigments are mainly involved in the photosynthesis. Yeah, so examples of the prokaryote that mainly has the chromatophore is the cyanobacteria. So now let us look into one more structure called as the inclusion bodies. Okay, now inclusion bodies are also a special structure, because it is not a membrane structure. It is not membrane bound. It is a non-membrane structure, and the main function of the inclusion bodies is that it mainly stores the reserve food material. They mainly store what? They mainly store the reserve food materials, right? Yes. So we see some what we can say granules. Okay, for example, we are having phosphate granules, we are also having a cyanophene granules, and we are having glycogen granules. Okay, now in the case of some bacteria such as blue-green bacteria or blue-green algae in other terms, okay, and also we are having purple and green bacteria. Okay, now these bacteria mainly contain a structure called as the gas vacuoles. Okay, they are having a structure called as what? Gas vacuoles. So these are some structures that we are looking over here. So now we shall also take one more structure that we have not discussed, that is the motility of bacteria. The bacteria are motile or they can be non-motile. And generally, if they are motile in nature, the structure that is involved in motility for the bacteria or moving of bacteria is the flagella. Okay, you have studied about the flagella. Even you find flagella in many cells, even in the case of human body also. Okay, yeah. So they are thin filamentous structures, extensions. Okay, from outside the body. So here, this is the bacteria, and from here, this is how. Yeah. So generally the flagella is made up of three parts. The filament, hook, basal body are the structures or the parts of the what we can say flagellum. So here this is the basal body, and this is the hook, okay, which mainly helps in holding or clinging inside the bacterial cell wall. And this longest structure, okay, is called as the filament. Okay, yes, the wiggling or the flickering movement of the flagella mainly helps in movement of the bacteria. Remember this. Now, apart from the what we can say flagella, you also see that two more structures are present called as the pili and fimbriae. Okay, now pili are proteinaceous protein. Okay, they're mainly made up of special proteins. Okay, and fimbriae are bristle-like structures present on the surface of the bacteria, and the fimbriae's main function is mainly what? Adhesion. Okay, they mainly help in adhesion or adhering, okay, to mainly stick or attach to the surfaces. That is the main function of the fimbriae. So now the last concept we can discuss over here is the ribosomes. Now ribosomes are mainly associated with the plasma membrane. PM, here it is abbreviated, it means that it is plasma membrane. Okay, generally the size is around 15 nanometers by 20 nanometers. And we say that the ribosomes of the prokaryotes are mainly 70 S. The S mainly stands for Swedberg units. Stands for the Swedberg units. Okay, yes. So we will study about Swedberg units gradually in the upcoming classes. Right? Yes. So the ribosome, we call it as 70S, but however, it is made up of two subunits. They're mainly made up of what? Two subunits. And these two subunits are, again, we can say that the 70S is made up of two subunits. The first one we are having is the 50S, and the smaller subunit is mainly made up of 30S. Right? Yeah. So don't add these 50 and 30 to give us 80. Don't think in that way. Right? Yes. It's a common misconception. Many students do that. Don't do that particular way. So the two subunits, one is a larger subunit, which is 50S, and the smaller subunit is mainly 30S. So now, what is the function of the ribosomes? They are mainly involved in the protein synthesis, right? As every ribosome, even in the case of eukaryote, the ribosome is mainly involved in the protein synthesis. So here, often, generally in the bacterial cell, you see that a single RNA, okay, for a single RNA, more than one ribosome may be attached, okay. Okay, multiple ribosome structures attached to a single RNA, it is called as a polyribosome, or also called as the polysome. Okay, for a single RNA, okay, have multiple ribosome attached, and this we use the term called as the polysome or polyribosome, right? So these are some of the salient features of the prokaryotes that we have discussed till yet. I hope you people might have understood till here, or you can just rewind wherever it is required. So we can start our discussion on few questions till whatever of here we have discussed. So the first question, the ribosome in prokaryotes is associated with the DNA, proteins, and cell membrane, and one more we are having is the cell wall. So we know just a moment ago it is a plasma membrane, right? We have discussed over here, right? So we can say that it is mainly associated with the cell membrane, or we can even say plasma membrane. So C is our right answer. Okay, so ribosome in the case of prokaryotes may also be associated with the mRNA. So what is the full form of mRNA? We all know it is what? Messenger RNA, right? Yes, exactly. Messenger RNA. Okay, so ribosome may be associated with the mRNA, or it may be associated with the cell membrane. Remember this, right? But they are attached generally to the cell membrane. Remember this. Ribosome in the case of prokaryotes, they are not found freely floating in the cytoplasm. For diagrammatically we show it, but during the translation process, they attach to the cell membrane or plasma membrane of the prokaryotic cells. Remember this. Now, the large subunit of the prokaryotic ribosome is made of 50S, 70S, 30S, 80S. The answer is, we all know it is, just a moment ago we said it is 50S, right? 70S, it is completely made up of 50 and 30, right? 30 is mainly smaller subunit, and 80S is mainly in the case of eukaryotic cells. We know it is what? Eukaryotic cells. Exactly. Now, which of the following is a prokaryote is not a membrane bound structure? Okay, so the question is, they are asking which of the following given options is not a membrane bound structure. That is their question, right? Mesosome, inclusion bodies, mitochondria, chloroplast, right? The answer, we all know it is what? A inclusion bodies. B is our right answer. Okay, mesosome is basically what? A extension of plasma membrane into the cytoplasm, right? We have discussed this, right? Mitochondria and chloroplast, they are completely absent in the prokaryotes, right? We have discussed it. So it is completely absent. So hagagi, we can say that C and D is not completely associated for this question. B is our right answer. A is the wrong answer. So inclusion bodies are mainly not a membrane bound structure. Yes. Identify the mismatch. Bacillus rod shaped, spirulum spiral, coccus comma shaped, vibrio comma shaped. So it's very easy. We know coccus is mainly what? It is a spherical shaped actually. It is mainly spherical shaped, not the comma shaped. So our right answer or mismatched is the coccus, that is comma shaped. All other options that are given, they are actually the right matches. Now, let us look on to the next question over here. So which of the following statement is not true? Mycoplasma has a cell wall. Okay, there is no defined nucleus. There is no well-defined nucleus. Plasmids are extrachromosomal DNA. Prokaryotes divide rapidly than eukaryotes, right? So they have asked not true statements. Okay, so we know that mycoplasma doesn't have cell wall, right? It doesn't have cell wall. So A is our right answer. Okay, it is the not true statement. So there is no well-defined nucleus. Obviously, in the case of prokaryotes, there is no well-defined nucleus. Plasmids are extrachromosomal DNA. It is also a true statement. And the prokaryotes divide rapidly than eukaryotes. It is also a true statement over here. All right. So mycoplasma has cell wall is the not true. Now, the next question. In prokaryotes, which of the following is a differentiated form of a cell membrane? Okay, inclusion bodies, ribosome, cell wall, mesosome, right? So the extension of the plasma membrane or cell membrane into the cytoplasm is mainly the mesosome. So the right answer we are having is the mesosome. Cell wall is not, ribosome is not, inclusion is not the right answer over here. So for sixth question, the D is right answer. So now, which of the following statement, MENT, yeah, so stamen, that is not no, the intention, statement, STATE, yeah. Which of the following statement about the plasmid is true? They confer resistance against antibodies. They are associated with the bacterial genome. Bacterial transformation can be monitored with the plasmid DNA, and they are circular but single-stranded, right? So which of the following is true? The statement they have asked about the true, right? So they confer resistance against antibodies. No, they mainly confer resistance against the antibiotics. Many students get confused. Let me tell you this, right? So it is not antibodies, it is mainly antibiotics. Yeah. And next, they are associated with the bacterial genome. No, they are independently present in the bacteria. They have no whatsoever. They are not dependent on the bacterial genome. They are bindas, aram se they live in the cytoplasm, right? Remember this. The next is bacterial transformation can be monitored with the plasmid DNA. Exactly. This is a true statement. This is what? A true statement. Because, see, in our discussion, we had said that the plasmid is used as a vector, right? And using plasmid, we can introduce our gene of interest into the plasmid, and this plasmid that is containing our gene of interest can be introduced into the bacteria, right? And this introduction of plasmid into the bacteria is none other than what? Transformation itself, right? So hence, bacterial transformation can be monitored with the plasmid DNA is absolutely a right statement about the plasmid. Right? They are circular DNA, true, but they are double-stranded, not single-stranded. Hence, even a D is also not true over here, right? The only true statement about the plasmid and the right option for us we are having is the C option. Bacterial transformation can be monitored with plasmid DNA. Exactly. Now, moving on. The cell envelope is made up of dash layers. A very easy question. 2, 3, 4, and 5. We all know the answer is it is made up of 3 layers, right? Glycocalyx, cell wall, and plasma membrane. Now, let us look into the next question. The glycocalyx can be referred as a slime layer only when it is thick and firm, thin and transparent, thick and tough, loose sheath, when it is present in the form of loose sheath. Hence, D is our right answer, right? So if it is thick and tough, then we use the term capsule, right? Isn't it? Yes, we use the term capsule. Thin and transparent, no. And thick and firm, no. We haven't encountered any of these two options anywhere, right? So the right answer we are having is a D, that is loose sheath. D is our right answer. Now, let us look into the one more question. Penicillin is an antibiotic that prevents the bacterial growth by inhibiting cell wall synthesis, DNA replication, transcription, translation, right? So now we all know penicillin is a quite a popular antibiotic which is used for various bacterial infections, right? And antibiotics are generally derived from fungi. We all know it is mainly derived from fungi, and they are mainly involved in inhibiting the growth of bacteria. That is the main function of the antibiotics, right? So they are mainly involved in conferring protection against the bacteria. Okay, and generally they are derived from the fungi. We see that. So penicillin is mainly derived from the Penicillium notatum, right? A fungi species. We all know, we have studied about this. Now, it's an antibiotic that mainly prevents the bacterial growth. So they have mainly asked about the mechanism. How does the penicillin mainly, or on how, or in what way the penicillin can inhibit the bacterial growth, right? So the well-known mechanism is by inhibiting the cell wall synthesis. Okay, it is mainly by inhibiting the cell wall synthesis, the bacteria becomes more susceptible for the rupturing and the what we can say collapsing of cell structure, right? So when there is no cell wall synthesis, there will be no cell wall in the first place. So when there is no cell wall, the bacteria becomes more susceptible for rupturing, okay, or lysis we can say, okay, or collapsing within itself. Right? So A is our right answer. So there are many antibiotics which prevent the DNA replication, transcription, and translation, but not required for our discussion. But penicillin is one of the most common antibiotics that you people study. Okay? Yes. So the right answer we are having is what? Cell wall synthesis inhibition. A. Now, the structure of bacteria that prevents the cell from bursting or collapsing is a capsule, plasma membrane, slime layer, cell wall. We all know the answer is what? Cell wall. The structure of bacteria that prevents the cell from the prokaryotic cell from bursting and collapsing is the cell wall. Okay, so the plasma membrane is completely different. Slime layer and capsule are mainly the part of glycocalyx. We all know that. Okay, so cell wall mainly gives the shape, okay, and protective function, protective nature. But however, the cell wall is mainly providing the rigidity to the cell, or prokaryotic cell. So taking away the cell wall or removing of cell wall can result in bursting or collapsing. Yes. The next question, the structure that is similar between the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes is a ribosome, DNA, RNA. Next one we are having is the cell membrane. Yes, exactly. It is cell membrane that is similar to prokaryotes and the eukaryotes, right? We have discussed this. We have mentioned just a moment ago that the structure that is similar to prokaryotes and eukaryotes is mainly the cell membrane. Ribosome, they are the common structures present, but they are not similar. Okay, prokaryote it is mainly 70S, and in the case of eukaryotic ribosome it is mainly 80S, right? Exactly. So now we can look into the next question. In a Gram staining, pink colored bacteria is a Gram positive, Gram negative, Gram neutral, Gram acidic. So we all know the pink colored bacteria. We had discussed about the Gram staining, right? The protocol. And we know that the pink colored appearance is mainly the Gram negative bacteria. Hagagi, the right answer we are having is the B, that is Gram negative. Now, the chromatophores are the structures that contain pigments, enzymes, DNA, secretory products. The chromatophores are mainly what? Derivatives of the mesosomes, and these are the structures that contains the pigments. So we can say that the chromatophores mainly contains the pigments, and these chromatophoric pigments are mainly involved in what? Photosynthesis, right? We have discussed this. Let us try to recall the point. Okay, so the right answer we are having is A, that is pigments. The next question, which of the following statement about the vesicles, tubules and lamellae is not true? Right, it is not true. They are involved in a DNA replication. It is true. They help in increasing the surface area of the plasma membrane. True. They decrease the enzyme content. Not true. C is our right answer. We had discussed earlier that the vesicles, tubules and lamellae are mainly involved in increasing the surface area of the plasma membrane, and also they increase the enzymatic content, right? They help in respiration. Exactly, that is also a true statement. Okay, but the false statement or not a true statement we are having is the C option, that is they decrease the enzyme content. In reality, they actually increase the enzyme content. So C is our right answer over here. The next question, the Gram bacteria that can take up the Gram stain is called as the Gram negative, Gram positive, Gram neutral, Gram basic. So we know the bacteria that can take up the Gram stain, which can take up that can be stained by the Gram stain, it means that it is actually Gram positive. And Gram positive are mainly purple in color, or blue also, but generally we use the term purple, right? So they are mainly purple in color, and the bacteria which can take up the Gram stain, it is called as the Gram positive, right? Yes. So let's look into the one more question. The longest portion of the flagella is pili fimbriae hook filament. The most extended part of the what? The flagella is mainly the filament. Yes. Also remember one point I forgot to mention. Flagella is actually derived from basal body. Yes. Remember this. I have seen some questions. I have seen few questions where they have asked the flagella is a modification or flagella is mainly derived from which structure. Okay, so it is mainly derived and a modification of a basal body, right? So try to remember this point. I have seen few questions in past AIPMT and NEET questionnaire where they have asked the derivative or a flagella is derived from which structure. It is mainly the basal body. Yeah. Next, which of the following is not true? The basal body is part of a flagella. Okay, pili and fimbriae are, sorry, it is not 8, it is R, are other structures present on bacteria. Pili is made up of complex carbohydrates. Flagella help in locomotion. So they have mainly asked the not a true statement, right? Basal body is a part of flagella. Exactly. From basal body only the flagella actually is generated. Pili and fimbria are other structures present on bacteria. Even that is also actually true, right? Pili is made up of complex carbohydrates. That is not true. That is not true. Hence, C is our right answer. Right? Pili is actually made up of complex proteins. Remember, they're mainly what? Made up of the complex proteins. The last option is what? The flagella helps in locomotion. Exactly, that is also a true statement, right? So according to over here, the C is not true, right? So pili is made up of complex protein, but they have given complex carbohydrates. The next question. The structure that is known to help bacteria to attach to the rocks and host tissues is fimbriae, pili, flagella and basal body. We know it is mainly the fimbriae, adhesion, okay, mainly helping to stick to the surface of the rocks, and the host tissues is mainly with the help of a structure called as what? Fimbriae. Remember, pili is mainly involved in conjugation. I forgot to mention this. It is mainly involved in what? Conjugation. Yes. Now, what is conjugation? Conjugation is a physical exchange of genetic material between two bacteria. Okay. So we can say that it is somewhat equivalent to sexual reproduction in the case of bacteria or in the case of prokaryote. Okay, so in the case of conjugation, what happens is that diagrammatically I can show over here, we are having two bacteria and there is a conjugation bridge, right? Yes, so this what you are looking over here is called as the conjugation bridge. Okay, so using this bridge, what happens from one bacteria, the DNA is transferred to the another bacteria. So this bacteria is called as the donor bacteria, this is called as the recipient bacteria. Right? So we can say that sometimes two bacteria may come in contact with physically and there may be exchange of genetic material, right? So the structure that helps in conjugation or helps in formation of conjugation bridge is called as the pili, okay? And they are called as a special pili called as the sexual pili or sex pili. They are generally called as sex pili also, right? Yes. So basal body flagella, it is not the right answer over here. So fimbriae is mainly helping in attached to the surfaces and rock bodies. The gas vacuoles are mainly observed in PPLO, that is pneumonia-like organisms, mycoplasma, purple and green bacteria, streptococcus. The answer we all know it is the purple and green bacteria, right? C is our right answer over here. So we have looked into some 20 questions for this section from the prokaryotes. Okay, so we have discussed mainly about the prokaryotes. Possible questions you may expect. Okay, so you may feel that the questions are very easy. You may think that the questions are too easy, right? See, let me tell you, students, the questions that you will see in your examinations are mainly from your textbooks. There is no way that they're going to ask it from out of the textbooks. So remember this point. That is why we are going to make you solve from the textbook as much as possible, right? So I think from this particular section, 20 possible ways they may ask you, okay? So I urge you to prepare this section more in detail, okay? Don't even think of skipping this, okay? Thinking that the questions are very easy, you may feel bored, okay? Let me tell you that. Thinking that the questions are very easy, okay, you may feel easy over here by looking at the questions, but during the examination, even the simplest question you may mark the wrong answer, okay? So don't be overconfident. Don't think that these questions are quite easy. These are the questions which will sometimes fool you in your main examinations, right? So that's it. We will meet in the next video with the next part of this particular class or section of this chapter. Till then, thank you, students.